guys, Kelly of Scraps and Photographs here today to make some cards with you using these tools, the crystal katana and the jewel picker, which are perfect for little rhinestones or sequins. And that's what we're actually going to be working with today, is some sequins. So the crystal katana has instructions on the back. It retails in Kat store for $29.95. And what I wanted to show you is how it works a little bit. So there's a waxy tip and there's a metal pointed tip. The point is really nice for pressing down sequins or any little things that you have. And what's good about it is that this tip also can come out and store in the barrel itself. And that'll leave you with a more flat, rounded tip. Which is nice when you don't want to use that point for delicate things like paper flowers or anything else that you might accidentally pierce through. But I personally like leaving it out. So that's what I did. So this wax tip is literally a cone of wax. So what it does is it uses its natural kind of stickiness, and it's a really, really low tack, which means that it's not super sticky, but it's just sticky enough. So what you do is you would just touch the tip to any sequins or jewels that you have, and it picks it up really easily right off the paper. Some people have complained about it losing its stickiness. I found that it happens to me when I end up getting glue on the tip and it dries. But because this is literally a wax cone, what you can do is you can scrape off whatever is on that tip and put it aside. So this Marvy jewel picker retails for just a little over $5 in the Kat Scrappiness store. And it comes with two sides. The red side is a smaller tip and the green side is a much larger tip. And these are made out of some kind of like silicone plastic kind of thing. So it has a natural tack to it. But if you ever find it losing its stickiness, which will happen because of dust and oil, you would just roll it on adhesive. And then it would regain its stickiness. Personally, I found that kind of just running it under water, tap water, and rubbing it with my fingers and then letting it air dry does the trick for me. So I haven't had to actually use the adhesive yet. So hopefully that helps anybody who's having trouble with either of these tools losing their stickiness and feeling like they, got gypped one way or another, because they really are good tools to have on hand, especially if you're working with sequins. So now what we're going to go into is the rule of thirds. So here you can see I'm trying to break up my card into thirds. And the idea is behind design and photography. So what I did was I actually got a transparency and I marked it out using a Sharpie so that you can see it visually. And the idea is that you want to put things at the intersections of where these lines meet, because in design that'll help kind of draw your eye and make more of a balanced and a more impressive image. So on this card, as you can see with the grid, I tried to center the image, but the horse's head and the sentiment kind of falls on those lines in those intersections. So that helps to kind of balance it out. And in this last one, it is a really big image that kind of covers all four of these intersections. And then another thing that I wanted to talk about in design and composition of your cards is the idea of drawing your eye across the card. And that happens in a Z or a V shape. So as you can see, it kind of goes across the card and down from sequin, across the image, into the other sequins, and then into the birthday wishes sentiment. On this card is another V, so it goes across the image from sequin to sequin, and then across to the words happy birthday. You can also go the other way, but it kind of draws a V, triangle, Z shape across your card. Again, sequins through the images to the other sequins, and then across to the sentiment. So that helps visually to draw your eye across the card. That helps to kind of make it a card that's more visually appealing. So the first card that we're going to make today uses this Critter Cruise set by Avery L. And it's a really cute set. It has a bunch of nice sentiments and a lot of these little cute animals that are popping out of the present. And then we're also going to be using these pastel pop sequins from Kat Scrappiness. So what I did is I went ahead and I've pre-made all the pieces. This one is using these fishtail stitch banner dies from Kat Scrappiness, and then just cutting off one edge. And then what you'll notice from me in a lot of my videos is that I like to save paper. If it's not something that's going to be seen, like as you can see that this big centerpiece with the pink is going to hide most of that card, I will use a die or a punch and cut that piece out so that I can use it on another card or another project at another time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and quickly put this card together, and then we can get into sequin placement. A lot of people think that sequin placement should be really uniform or really random. But sometimes that draws attention away from the card. And so what helps is if you, instead of just dropping glue and then putting your sequins down, which does work for some people, for me, I found that what helps is if I actually lay my sequins out in advance. And that way I can see kind of the placement that they're going to have and whether or not it balances out my card. And that's where these sequin tools come in handy. So using these pastel pops, you can either use your sequin tool or your jewel tool to place them down. But individually, that takes a little bit of time, especially if you're doing a whole cluster of sequins like I like to do. So I went ahead and I used my fingers and I kind of spread them out, and then you'll see me kind of placing them where I want them to be. And then also being able to pick colors that I want so that it's, has a nice mix of colors that goes around it. And then once I'm happy with the way things are placed, what I'll go ahead and do is I will use my sequin tool. In this case, we're going to be playing with the crystal katana. And then I will pick up a sequin and then use the glue to put a drop of glue and then put my sequin back down. So I like mine being cup side down, so that instead of cup side up. So what I'll do is I'll take it and then I'll flip it over using my sequin tool and then pick it back up and then place it where I want it to be. And then I'll flip over my picker and use that pointy end to kind of push it down in place. And then I will pick up a sequin and then use the glue to put a drop of glue and then put my sequin back down. So I like mine being cup side down, so that instead of cup side up. So what I'll do is I'll take it and then I'll flip it over using my sequin tool and then pick it back up and then place it where I want it to be. And then I'll flip over my picker and use that pointy end to kind of push it down in place. So doing it this way does take a little bit of time because I do want my sequins to be in kind of a precise place according to where I had it laid out. But to me, it gives more of a finished feel because I know exactly what it's going to look like in the end. I try to actually place some of them so that they cluster together and some of them a little bit further apart because that makes it look like a little bit more natural kind of a placement on the card. So this next card that we're going to do is using this Hey There set by Lawn Fawn. And I absolutely adore these animals. I think they're really, really cute together. And then we're also going to be using these rainbow splash sequins. And again, you can see pieces that are not going to be seen. I punch them out or I die cut them out. But these are the rainbow splash sequins. They're kind of a matte color, which is really, really nice because not everything needs to be shiny, although shiny is a lot of fun. So again, just showing you that pieces that are not going to be seen, I went ahead and I punched or used dies. So as you can see, it's not going to be seen. All of these pieces that I punched out, you can't even tell that they're missing. And it's a nice way to conserve paper or use a little bit of paper for later. Once again, I have pre-cut, pre-stamped, pre-colored, pre-prepped everything. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the card together really quickly so that we can get to the sequin placement. Again, I'm using my fingers and I'm laying out the sequins. I'm using the colors that I want in the arrangement that I want. But this time we're going to be using the Jewel Picker by Marvy. So the Jewel Picker has a lot more tack than the Crystal Katana. So what I'm going to do is roll it between my fingers to try and get a little bit of the tack off and make it a little bit easier to work with. But you'll notice that because it doesn't have that other metal side, I need to use my fingers to press the sequins down. So you'll see that I have clustered a few and spread a few of them out, again, to make a little bit more interesting on the card. So this last card is again using that Hey There set, but this time I went for a more clean and simple approach, using a little sprinkling of sequins at the top and bottom corners of the card. So I used this wonky wavy stitch die from Kat Scrappiness as my card base, and then what I went ahead and did is just stamped and colored the pig, the horse, and the goat, and we're just going to kind of arrange them but not glue them down yet because we want to make sure that it works with our sequin placement. So this time I'm using these mint sparkle sequins. It's a really pretty, like mermaidy, beachy kind of color scheme, and it has these beautiful stars in it, but unfortunately we're not going to be using the stars today. We're just going to be using the pinks and the clears and that teal turquoise greens, and then using my fingers again to place the sequins down. So this mint sparkles pack has big sequins and small sequins, whereas in the other two packs that we've used, the sequins have been pretty much the same size. And then using this Jewel Picker by Marvy to place the sequins down. And then I'm actually capping the end of the Jewel Picker and then using it to kind of press my sequins down into the glue to make sure that they're really nice and stuck down. And then we're just going to quickly put together the rest of the card. So gluing down our animals now that we know exactly where we want them to be placed. And then using the sentiment that comes with the stamp set and stamping out that happy birthday and from the whole herd. So what I'm doing is I'm actually placing each sentiment on one side of the acrylic block. So the happy birthday is on one side and the from the whole herd is on the other. That way I can actually just stamp it all at once, and I'll just flip the block over. And then the last thing we're going to do is adhere this card front down onto our card itself. And I'm putting glue on the card instead of the front because my liquid glue that's holding down the sequins is still a little bit wet. So I didn't want to flip my card over and chance kind of moving things around or losing sequin placement. That does it for me. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you again soon.